All right, let's get started on Fireball Mail. First thing we're going to do is play the melody by itself. It's very important not to skip this step. I know it's tempting to move on to the rolls and drones and fancy licks, but the melody by itself is what guides us through the song and keeps us in time. I'm always trying to hear what I play when I'm playing music. I don't want to just memorize a bunch of numbers and play them in order and hope for the best. I want to hear the song in my head and put that on the guitar. Now, when I play something like Fireball Mail, after all the rolls and drones are in there, it's a lot of notes. I'm not sure that I can really hear all of that. What I'm really hearing in my head is the simple melody. So you want to make sure you have this melody first, because that is your guide to stay with the band and stay in time. So learn the melody first, be able to play it with the practice track. And then when we start to add the drones and the rolls, we're going to have an easier time staying in time moving forward. All right, we'll add some rolls next. 1 and 2 and 1. All right, now we've got the melody to Fireball Mail all set. It's time to add a couple of rolls. The rolls that I use in this are backward rolls, and that's just because I'm more comfortable with backward rolls. I know a lot of banjo players learn forward rolls kind of first, and they're more comfortable with forward rolls. And you could do that. Which roll you use is not super important because we already have the melody. We're using the roll to add some kind of percussion and rhythmic drive to our melody. So the first place is right after the melody kind of pauses, right here, instead of just going, I'm going to put a little 5-note roll. So we have say take that first part by itself first a few times. Gotta get the timing right. We're playing quarter notes. Our roll is going to be 8 notes. So your notes go twice as fast once you get to the roll. And that's a nice little landing spot to continue the melody. All right, so let's put that first melody line together. That's pretty much how it works. So I've taken a little kind of a soft spot in the melody where we're not really doing a whole lot, and I'm adding that bluegrassy rhythmic drive to my melody by adding in a 5-note roll. So you always have to be kind of aware of the melody. You put the roll in where it fits. It's not like we're playing 8-note roll patterns and working the melody at the same time. It doesn't really work that way, at least not for me. It's just something we can add for a soft spot. So there's 3 spots. That's the first one. Second one is basically the same thing. And then another one right here. Now this one's a little bit odd because I'm on a D chord. I'm on a D note here on the third string, and I use my D notes on either side of it. So I have 3 different D notes on this roll. Well, 2 of them are the same. Technically, you could probably put your bar flat and get the rest of the D chord. The idea is that the melody is the important part, and the roll's job is to add rhythmic drive. I'm not overly concerned about what the notes are there, as long as they don't clash with the chord. So we got 3 rolls to add. We have roll, melody. Here we go again, another roll. Third. And then we're back to what we were doing. And melody for the rest of the way out. So now we've added 3 rolls, and it's starting to sound a little more bluegrassy. So let's get those down, and we're making sure we don't lose track of the melody in the process. And then in the next step, we'll add some drones. Really fill it out. See you then. 1 and 2 and 1. All right, so now we've got the melody. We've added some rolls. It's starting to sound real bluegrassy. I want to take it up another notch by adding some drones. The drone's just going to be this open D string that I'm going to use sometimes alongside the melody note and sometimes in between the melody notes. So I'm either fattening up the sound by adding that drone to a note, or I'm driving the rhythm by putting it in between. Either way, I've got this, I'm playing in the key of G. This open D string is almost always going to sound pretty cool. I can kind of throw it whenever I need to fatten things up or drive the rhythm harder. What I'm going to do is talk you through the first phrase, and then you can work out the rest of it with the video in the next lesson. So first phrase, I have this melody leading up to the first roll that is, and then I have my roll. So I'm just going to add one alongside this G note. Right there is my first drone. That's all I'm going to do on that first part. And then my melody, I have this. So I'm going to put a couple drones right on front here. Pull off, I'm not going to add the drone. Here I'm fine, but I'm going to put one here. Just thought I would put one in between there to keep that rhythm going. So that part is. Do that again. Drone, drone, drone. So in this first phrase, there's a total of 4 drones that I'm adding. Drone, 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 drone. So between the drones and the rolls, it starts to be a pretty full sounding thing. And you'll notice that even though I've got a lot more notes going on now, we haven't lost track of the melody. You still hear in your head. So that's really important, like we talked about when we learned the melody, to keep that being the main thing. And let the drones and the rolls do what they do best, which is adding a fullness and adding a rhythmic drive to the melody that's already there. All right, so you figure out the rest of it with the drones. And then we got one more thing to do, which is to add a cool Josh Graves lick, because you can't do Fireball Mail without adding a cool Josh Graves lick. So the next step 4 is going to be adding the cool Josh Graves lick, and then we'll have a complete version of Fireball Mail. I'll see you then. 1 and 2 and 1. Okay, one more piece of the puzzle, and that's to add a cool Josh Graves lick. Song already sounds pretty good. You could stop here, you'd be fine. But Josh Graves plays this fantastic lick. You might find yourself adding this lick to other songs in the key of G. So here's what he does. This is the third phrase. Or something like that. It might not be a direct quote, but it's pretty close. The main thing is you got these 2 quarter notes, dum, dum, and then we have this triplet. Now to play that at full speed, you want to just play the first note with your right hand, and then do a slide and a pull off. Boo-da, doo-da. That's 3 notes. 1, 2, 3. 3 for the price of 1. And then what you want to do is pull your thumb up to the second string, because the next 2 notes are going to be second string and then back to the first string. When I go back and forth between 2 strings, I don't want to be with these 2 fingers. I want to get my thumb involved. It's just easier to do. Do that much. That's the hardest part. Now the next part, we get our thumb on the 3rd string. And we don't have the triplet this time. It's just a simple 8th note pull off. Alright, there it is. So when you take those 2 things separate, it's not too tricky. That's one part. Next part is put those together and we have... That's starting to sound pretty good. And then we have another little drone. What I'm really playing is... That's the melody. I just snuck one of these drones in again to keep that rhythmic drive going. That's the lick. Now we're on to the 4th phrase, which is the same except for one thing that I'll show you in a second. So let's get this lick together first. So we have triplet, 8th note. Oh man, this is great. Cool. One more thing I did in this last version is that I doubled up the little G lick at the end. This part. Just played it twice. So once again, it's more notes, but it's not that much more complicated. So let's take it from the Josh Graves lick, which is the 3rd phrase, on out, and we get... Cool, and our completed version. close. I was close. All right. I hope you have fun with Fireball Mail. Don't worry about playing it that fast. Get it up to 90 and you're doing great. So this one's going to get called off at all the Bluegrass Jams. Got to be ready with it. I hope you had fun with Fireball Mail.
1 and 2 and 1.